Hey guys, welcome to Blockbuster Boxsets. On today's episode of Highlights from the Collection, I thought I'd show off my Halloween box sets. Let's talk about it. This is the franchise that put me on the map as far as collectors wanting to buy when I was selling stuff. What they, put me on the map for them to start buying from me. So rewind the clock a little bit, about a little over 5 years. I was just sitting on the couch one day and I was looking at my own collection, and there were a lot of films that I ended up having the whole franchise for, but I didn't have a box set for because I had bought them individually as they had come out. And that's when I came up with the idea of, why don't I just make a big empty box and you can put your films that you already own in them versus having to go and try to buy a box set for a group of films that you already owned. It made no sense. So in my last video, I kind of briefly talked about when I was showing off my Predator box with that. Let me grab that. So with my Predator box that I had shown you, I had started out using hardback book covers. And what I was doing was I went to like Goodwill outlets, and they're also known as AKA bargain barns. And I was buying hardback books, the largest hardback books I could find, and I was using the covers and cutting those down to make my boxes. And back then, I was actually some of the cardboard for these hardback book covers is so thick. You could score them and cut them with a razor, a razor blade box cutter. But it was very hard to maintain a straight cut all the way through. I didn't have any power tools or anything like that at the time to make any kind of precision cut. So what I ended up doing is I made myself a template out of really, really thin chipboard, and then I would just trace over with black marker, and then I was using metal cutting shears to be able to cut this cardboard to the appropriate size. And I mean, I got pretty good at it, but just when you're cutting anything by hand, you're not gonna have that level of precision as if you were like using a paper cutter or something that like held a straight line. But overall, I thought they were really good. They were very sturdy. But the Halloween box, prior to Scream Factory putting out the first 5 4Ks, here I don't have the original, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I do have there's 2 different boxes that I wanted to show you. So when Scream Factory put out their first 5 in these rigid slip boxes, they didn't come with a box set, and I was not doing well as far as like anybody being interested. Once I had run out of the metal tin boxes that I used to make for like the steel books that Hobby Lobby used to sell, once those went out, that's when I transitioned to the cardboard. But everybody was like checking out because it wasn't made of metal tin anymore. And I was gonna close up shop, and I saw that Scream Factory had put out the 4Ks in these rigid slip boxes with no box set, and I saw so many people on social media complaining, "Oh, why no box set? Where's the box set?" And so I was like, I'll make a box set, and if that doesn't sell, then I'll just make stuff for myself and be done. And so I made a box pretty much just like this. And at the time I was using sticker paper. I had a it was like a HP Eco Print inkjet printer, and I didn't know any better, and I was printing on not photo paper, but sticker paper, which if you're making your own stuff, stay away from sticker paper. Sticker paper is garbage. You will never get the quality that you want out of it. or the texture feel of it as well. And then also they fade over time, which I can show you. Let me get that. This is the metal tins that I'm talking about. This was it was just a decorative tin, and it came with a lid, and it had like a marble swirly color pattern to it, and they sold it at Hobby Lobby, but it was the perfect dimensions and the same style as what we had been getting from the other studios at the time. And so I was making boxes out of these, and this is what I was talking about. I was using sticker paper, so it fades over time, so you can really see it on this one. That's very faded with that, but also with using, and I push people toward laser color printers instead of inkjet, because when you do inkjet, it doesn't give you a true black. It uses the colors to try to make a black, and over time, especially as it fades, it turns more maroonish, and it gives you that look. I mean, overall, this still doesn't look bad, but I also haven't exposed it to a lot of sunlight either. It hasn't been near a window, but you can see, like, it's kind of fading and turning a little more maroonish. But when I made these, I bought EVA foam, and then I used adhesive to attach it, so it would give that nice foam on the inside. And then you'd put your steelbooks in, and then I had foam sheets that would go in between them to give them space. So when when Hobby Lobby stopped making those, that's when I switched to these. But people weren't really interested so much. They wanted the metal tin. But I had made one to fit these, and my buddy Pizzo. I didn't know that I didn't know him, he didn't know me, but he saw my listing on Facebook Marketplace at the time, and he bought it, and he did a review of it, and that like took off, and orders came pouring in from there because people wanted it. Now, that being said, looking back on it, that box set is hot garbage versus what I call my masterpiece. When it comes to the Halloween box set, I would argue that I would fight anybody that says this isn't the greatest Halloween box set ever made to date. But that's what put me on the map for that, and Halloween's always been kind of the bread and butter flagship box, I should say. So I'm not surprised when studios like Imprint Films and Scream Factory, they keep re-releasing stuff, and I know some in the community complain. I'm like, how many re-releases of Halloween are going to get? It sells. So the next year, Scream Factory put out the last 3 of the 8 that they were doing. That came with a box set, but what it was just card stock wrapping, very cheap. Kind of disappointed in Scream Factory for that, because they typically up to that point were making good, solid, rigid box sets. So for them to kind of phone it in on that, I realized that like Halloween 6, 7, 8 aren't like the greatest. But still, it didn't really hold up to what we had come to expect from them. So it made perfect sense for me, since the X3 came out, that I would make a larger box to accommodate that. And I went through a bunch of different versions of it. This was before I could hire artists to create stuff, so I was limited on what my options were. So it was pretty much grabbing stuff off the internet, trying to change it if I could in some meaningful way, but also my talent was very limited on what I could do in as far as like paint, Photoshop, stuff like that. But this is I don't have the original box, but I do have this one. I just keep this one for sentimental value, but this one held all of the 8 Scream Factory, you know, films in their rigid slip boxes. And for this one that I had, by this time I had switched over to a color laser printer, although it was a low cheap grade one. It's still pretty good. So that was the top, and then this was the one side. And then for the back, I, always like to keep it simple with the original poster, can't go wrong with that, right? And then I did want to give Halloween 3 Season of the Witch some love on the box. Overall, I was happy with this box. Like I tell you, like I never put anything on the bottom. Even up to this point, I still wasn't... this is somewhat finished, but it wasn't as professional as what I make for myself now. Certainly for... this is nothing compared to what I ended up creating when it came to the Halloween franchise. So my original vision with the Halloween collector's edition that I was doing is we hadn't, as fans, gotten a complete collection, box set since the original Blu-rays, where they had up through the Rob Zombie films. But since then we had the 3 Halloween, it was the 2018 Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So we didn't have anything that was uniting our collection with that. It was very separate with that. So again, Halloween being really the physical media community's largest, most popular box set that I was offering. It made sense for me to try to make something even better than that, something that would unite your collection, something it wouldn't matter whether, because the Rob Zombie films are stuck on Blu-ray. So it's, how do you mix and match formats? How do you make it cohesive? How do you bring it together? And that's when I started formulating the idea of a Halloween box set that would be a complete collection. And it took some time and a lot of money and a lot of brain power, but I did end up coming with what I'm about to show you right now. Hey everybody, hope you're enjoying the video. If you want more from Blockbuster Box Sets, please consider becoming a VIP member. VIP members get exclusive access to content, videos, upcoming projects, and merchandise, as well as a private group that we can socialize and communicate with each other and help each other out with our own personal projects. If you're interested in becoming a VIP member, I have a link in the description of this video. Please follow that and it'll give you all the details. Have a great day, and now back to the video. This box set was the culmination. It was of a year. It took a year from the time that I first thought it up to the time that I was able to roll it out and give it out to the community. I absolutely love this box set. It has phenomenal art by Mariano Mattis. He was so generous with his time to work with me and bring this to the community. So I'll just show you like the outer box and then we'll go through the individuals. But this is, the back of it, which I wanted it to be a giant homage to really like the first 8, so to speak, in general. And then on the sides, I like for this one, I wanted it to be the Blumhouse trilogy side of it, and then also I wanted to give the Rob Zombie films some love as well. So I did that. So again, this is my personal collection; it's not for sale. And then the front, I wanted to create uniformity with that. And I'm actually doing an updated version for myself because I don't do the studio logos anymore, and so I wanted to do and these up here, the printer that I printed these on prints very dark, so these didn't come out as vibrant as I wanted them to be. And then also, like, it depended on, when I was selling these, it was a matter of like what version release, because the studios have been, the rights for this franchise have been passed around, and studios have different studios have acquired them. So at the time, when I had them available for you guys, they you might have had it from not necessarily a 4K, you might have had a Blu-ray or a DVD that you were putting in a case to fit in this, and it didn't match up. I had a person, they were very upset because I think it was like one of the Rob Zombie ones. I had the Lionsgate logo on there because Lionsgate owns something of it, and he had a Sony, and he was upset that it didn't say Sony on it. And I'm like, well, based on the research that I had, it was this. So that was one of the reasons why I had gotten rid of studio logos, back when I was selling stuff. But I've actually come to really love the cleaner look of it. Yeah, I'll just take you through it one by one and show you off this amazing artwork. This is the top of the box. Again, fantastic. And then I'll just walk you through it. Now, obviously, like with the Scream Factory ones, they did their own new artwork, and I was never a fan of this artwork. And I know a lot of folks in the community were bummed that they didn't give you the original poster art. And I'm a big fan of the original poster art, so that's what I did with mine. Was I put the original poster art on the front, and then I had worked with Mariano on creating new artwork. So that's why I had this. So you got the original poster art, and then on the back I would give you something new that you'd never seen before, which is more than what most studios did. And then for me, for my personal collection, I really like the clear cases that I have and I sell, and you can pick those up on my Etsy store. I do the clear cases so they all fit perfectly, and then for myself, I did do the original poster art as well. But what's great is it allows me to do two-sided artwork, and for this one I have the like, just for an image, I have him like, that scene where he's behind the hedge. And then Halloween 2, The Nightmare Isn't Over. And then I had this on the back. I thought it was pretty cool. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I really like this movie. And I think now, recently, it's become, like, cool to like this movie. But I remember back in the day, folks were just losing their minds over the fact that it wasn't a Michael Myers film. But I really like the idea of them just telling a Halloween story. And I mean, even the Halloween name for the franchise, it lended itself to that. But man, Michael Myers was just so influential in pop culture that fans just demanded it. So, that's why they brought him back. But I really enjoy Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Next after that is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Again, I just love doing that original poster art for my collection, and always like to bring something new as well, something unique. Even like if you look at like your major studios like Arrow and them, they typically only give you like artwork on one side because they don't want to pay that extra cost for artwork on two different panels. So, they don't get me wrong, they give you really nice artwork, but it's typically only like on one, and then on the back it's usually like just a continuation of a pattern, like wallpaper, but it's not, there's not any artwork to be had off of it. Then I have Halloween 5, and I love these rigid slip boxes. And again, for me, I don't own any of the steel books, but at the time, that when I was selling these, there were a lot of folks that had a hodgepodge. They had a mixture. Some had steelbooks, some didn't. Some were upgrading to the Scream Factory 4K, some weren't. The only downside I think that I met was the Scream Factory 4K rigid boxes didn't fit in these, so you had to make a choice. Are you going to keep your Scream Factories, or were you going to let those go and grab these, which I personally think that these are of better quality. But I mean, that's obviously, I'm the creator of it, so I'm going to be biased with that. Next up after that is Halloween H2O. And I absolutely love H2O. I love the ending. And but again, it was one of those like, okay, well, how the hell is he? How are they gonna make another one? Like, where does that go? But when they switched over to Resurrection, and they show you what happens, you're like, oh, okay, and then it made me want to go back and look at the other film to see if they had actually had the foresight to shoot that where you could see it on screen. But I don't recall. I think it was just a kind of an afterthought, since H2O was so well received and it did so well at the box office. Then we come to the redheaded stepchilds of the franchise. I think the Rob Zombie collection, and I'll be honest. Here's the thing: I love all of the Halloween films to varying degrees. I think each one is unique in its own thing. Everybody's got their, like, what they think would make a perfect Halloween film. Which ones they like, which ones they don't like, for various reasons. When it comes to the Rob Zombie ones, I think the main thing with the first one is they spend, and Chase from AVA Pop Culture did a really good video on this, and I think he nailed it on the head. They spent too much time on Michael and his origin, and also taking away that supernatural element that is Michael Myers, and just made him like the way they did it tried to paint him as a sympathetic victim, versus him just being a supernatural, mindless, faceless killer. I think in Chase's video, he even says, like, in the first Halloween, he's just known as the Shape, and that's what he was supposed to be. He doesn't say a word of dialogue. He's quiet throughout. He's faceless in a way because you don't see his real face. But I think that was the main failings with the Rob Zombie films, is they eliminated that supernatural element to it, and he just became a traumatized kid that grew up to be a killer. And then in the first one, they spent 3/4 of the movie establishing his backstory, and then the last quarter of the film, or last third of the film, however you want to slice that pie, it being a rush job of retelling the original Halloween film. And then Halloween 2, the opening to Halloween 2 is badass. I love the hospital scene. If they would have made that the movie, I think it would have been way more received than it was. But it is what it is. Then we switch over to the Blumhouse trilogy, again with the original poster art, and then newly commissioned artwork on the back. I absolutely love this. This is one of my favorite ones that Mariana created for me. Then Halloween Kills. Again, just really, really badass artwork. Just fantastic. I mean, look at that. And then I think this, I don't know, do you guys like this less than the Rob Zombies? But Halloween Ends with Corey. I don't know, they to me, I always felt that Jamie Lee Curtis, her character in the 2018, where she's a survivalist, stuff like that, she kind of becomes like Sarah Connor. I felt like that should have been her at the end, like toward Halloween Ends, and the way she is at the end of Halloween Ends, or throughout the film of Halloween Ends, how she would have been in the Halloween 2018. You know, where like he's been locked away, she's moved on, she's okay. Maybe she wrote a book about that night kind of thing, and then he, escapes, comes after them. Like all the events could still be the same, and then I would say like since Halloween Kills, the way it ends, and then there's like some time passes between that and Halloween Ends. That's where she could have like you could have strung it out a little bit more, a couple more years. He's been on the loose, and she becomes. That's where she's a paranoid survivalist kind of thing. I think that would have been a better character arc for her. Versus the way they had it. It's just, to me, it always seemed just backwards. But I just wanted to show you the box again, from my collection. And, as like I said before, like super, super rigid. That's my MO. And then you can see it's properly finished on the inside versus, like I showed you in the last video of how I didn't always do that. I didn't always, finish the inside of the box because honestly I didn't think that people would care with that, but they did, and I always listen to my audience, so I started finishing the insides to make them more professional, more finished, and the rest is history. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. In this video, I got to show you how I went from, I wish I had the first gen box that I had made, but I don't keep everything that I've made in my collection. But it was, this kind of style box to, something a little bit more polished, to hold the first 8 Scream Factory 4Ks. And then I eventually, went and, as you could see, that's why I tell you guys, make sure that you just know that in the beginning, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be great, but you got to start, keep at it. You'll get better. As you get better, you'll learn, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what works, what doesn't work for you, what gives you the best results, stuff like that. So as you can see, that's how a lot of my collection has done. There's a lot of box sets that I have that are not the first version of it. It's just the latest version of it. And that's the great thing is that you can always go back and make something new, and that refreshes and re-energizes you and with your love for your collection. But until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.